guys, just Ash here. Now today I'm going to be talking to you guys about K-pop. This is mainly because I don't really have any real life friends that are into K-pop. I don't really have many real life friends in general. So instead I'm going to be talking to you guys about some of my K-pop biases and favourite music videos, or rather torturing you guys because this video could get quite long. I apologise in advance for how rambly and fangirly this might get. So what I'm going to be doing today is talking through some of the groups that I listen to, explaining a little bit about why I like them, and also sharing with you guys who my bias and bias wreckers are, as well as letting you guys know what my favourite song, choreo, and music video for each band is. So let's get on with the video before this takes any longer than it needs to. Also, I'm going to apologise in advance because I will butcher every single Korean name that I have to say in this video, because no matter how hard I try to say it correctly, I just can't. It's like the one thing that just doesn't stick, so please be gentle with me, I am trying. So, let's start with my first group, which is BTS. BTS are actually kind of my alt group when it comes to K-pop. They are the reason why I got into K-pop in the first place, and I actually remember specifically when it was. It was when that video of Jungkook was going around, I think it was the MMAs last year, maybe the year before, where they were performing Airplane Part 2, he had that nice white suit on, and he did the long walk down the stage. I originally watched it just to see what all the fuss was about, because I really didn't think BTS could be that good. However, I watched that video, fell down a K-pop hole, and here we are today talking about K-pop again. So I guess I should say thank you to BTS for really opening up my eyes to the joys of K-pop. Anyway, who is my bias in BTS? It's Suga! Yay! That was losery. What was I saying? The reason why Suga is my bias is I really like his general style. I mean, we can't ignore the fact that he is very aesthetically pleasing. However, I do like BTS for their music and not just because they are a group of very nice looking young men. This video is getting very thirsty, I apologise. But basically, I really like Suga's style in general. I also really like the way he raps. Is he the best rapper in K-pop? Probably not, but he does have a style that is very unique to him, I think. I don't really listen to a lot of like major hip-hop Korean stuff, so at least with what I've been exposed to, it seems very unique to him. He has a very distinctive style. So moving on to my bias wreckers. I have several bias wreckers in BTS because I'm very unloyal. Apologies to everyone out there that picks one person and sticks with them. My bias wreckers in BTS are J-Hope, V, and Jimin. Now, Jimin wasn't actually a bias wrecker of mine until quite recently, and that is because I had two dreams about him in very quick succession. The first dream was he was helping me relax by doing some breathing exercises, and then TXT's Soobin and Yeonjun arrived and told us that we had to stop doing that or people would think we were dating. And then about 2 days later, I had another dream about Jimin where I met him at the Waterfront, which is like an alternative bar here in Norwich, and they played Mic Drop and we danced together. And then that's how easy it is to bias wreck me. Just arrive in my dreams, be really nice, and then, oh, lo and behold, you've moved up the bias list. Okay, so my favourite music video from BTS is Blood, Sweat and Tears. I really like the visuals in the video. I think it's really well filmed. There's just enough of the choreography to keep it interesting, and also it's really fun to read about all the theories surrounding the video and like where it fits in the BT universe. I think that's really good. I think that's a really fun thing to do sometimes if you're a bit bored, is to just sit and watch theory videos on YouTube. Next up is my favourite choreography. My favourite choreography is Mic Drop, which probably is why that was the song that was in my dream with Jimin. I adore that choreography. I think it's really powerful, it's really fun to watch, and I can just about manage most of the chorus despite not being a dancer, which is something I really appreciate in choreography, because I do occasionally like to dance along and I'd like to be able to do it without damaging my legs. So yeah. And finally, in this little BTS section, my favourite song is Crystal Snow. It's one of their Japanese songs, so there's hardly any content for it on YouTube. I think there's like one live performance and that's it. but it's a really beautiful song. It really suits everyone's voice and like style of singing or rapping. It's one of my favorites. I can literally listen to it on repeat, non-stop, and never get bored. The next group we are going to talk about is 17. I have only really relatively recently gotten into properly liking 17, but since I've kind of fallen down a bit of a 17 hole. I watched a lot of their stuff they've done on VLive, a lot of YouTube compilations of 17 funny moments. I've watched all their music videos, all their dance practices. Yeah, needless to say, new obsession. My bias from 17 is Wonu, which I think I have said right, but I'm not 100% sure. Lo and behold, my bias is another rapper. What a surprise! I really like Wonu's voice. He has a particularly deep voice, just like when he's speaking, and this comes through in his rapping as well. He does have quite a deep rapping voice. And recently, I've also discovered that he's a very good vocalist as well. The opening lines of Snapshoot from their latest album are him singing, kind of. It's like halfway between singing and rapping, and I heard it and like melted. It's so good. We stand talent in this house. I don't know why I said that. I've never said that in real life. It did take me a while to pick a bias from 17, but I think I finally I've settled now, and it will be Wonu for like the longest time. My bias wreckers, on the other hand, are everybody else. Well, I say everybody else. I have been bias wrecked by everyone else in 17 at one point or another. Especially with this latest comeback that they're doing. Everyone's visuals are really on point. Everyone's vocals are really on point. The choreography, as 17's choreography is also just fantastic. However, my main bias wreckers from 17 are Mingyu and Jun. Mainly because they're the two I thought were my bias before I picked Wonu. And Jun especially is a bias wrecker for me because he is such a good dancer. I can literally sit and watch him dance with no music and it wouldn't be a problem. My favourite 17 music video is actually the music video for Call Call Call, which is one of their Japanese songs. It's the one where they're all motorbike gangs and they get a phone call. I really like the visuals in it. I really like how everyone looks as each respective gang member. You've got the guys on, I think they're Lambrettas in suits, which is very nice. The guys who are obviously based on greasers. And then I think it's Vernon, Jun, Dino, and, oh lord, Joshua, who look kind of like a 90s aesthetic maybe, but I think everyone really suits their concept in that video. I really love the choreography, and the choreography is just present enough in the video as because it's one of their Japanese songs, there are hardly any filmings of the choreography that aren't fan cams. So I enjoy watching that video just to see the choreography, and it's just overall quite a good song. My favourite choreo, on the other hand, is the choreo for Very Nice. It's so satisfying to watch. Like, I've sat and watched every single performance, every dance practice that I can of this choreo, and it's just so amazing that they are so in sync. There's 13 of them and not a single one is out of time or like a beat behind usually, and the Very Nice choreography in and of itself is very pleasing to watch as it involves the costuming because they wear their braces and they're involved in the choreo as well, which I just think is fantastic. Finally, my favourite song is Oh My, or at least it was when I wrote this. I've actually since updated my favourite song because my new favourite song is Snapshoot off of their latest album. However, Oh My was my favourite song because it's a very upbeat sounding song. It's quite chill as well though, and again, it's one of those songs that I can listen to on repeat over and over again and never get bored of. Well, hey, it's time for our first girl group, which is Twice. I really didn't think I would like Twice as much as I do. The first couple of songs that I heard from them were a bit too, like, candy pop for me. They're a bit too sweet and saccharine, but I actually ended up really liking them. I found them through watching other JYP groups, which I'll get onto in a moment, and yeah, basically, I ended up really falling quite hard for Twice. They have some really good songs, they've done some really good concepts, and yeah, so let's get on to my bias. My bias is Chaeyoung, which I hope I have said right again, and lo and behold, it's another member of a rap line. As far as Twice has a rap line, it's not a particularly strong rap line, but the girls that are in the rap line are good rappers, and Chaeyoung is one of them. I really like her just general style. I think she has a really cute style. She suits every concept that Twice has ever done. As for bias wreckers, they are Dahyun and Nayeon. I really like Dahyun again because she is part of the rap line. She is another one that has a very distinctive sense of style. I love the way she dresses. She suits all of Twice's concepts again, and she's quite like upbeat and funny. I've not watched too much of Twice's like V-Live stuff or behind the scenes, but what I've seen of her, she's got a personality, which is quite nice. There are some girl groups that don't have any personality, and we'll get to them as well. As for Nayeon, I really like Nayeon's vocals. She has, for me personally, some of the best vocals in Twice when you consider they're all pretty much vocalists. She has a very distinctive way of singing, and I don't know if that's because JYP makes her sing like that or if that's her natural singing voice, but I do actually quite like it. Next up is my favourite choreo. I've just spilt red juice all over my white t-shirt. Well done, Ash. Next up is my favourite choreo. My favourite choreo from Twice is Dance the Night Away. I love it. It's so upbeat and happy. It's so interesting to watch. And it's another one where I can just about manage to do the chorus despite not being a dancer without horrifically injuring myself. And there are times where I run the day at work, so I'm the only person in and I've got no customers, and I'll have K-pop like on the speakers, and Dance the Night Away will come along and I will do the chorus, and then the hairdresser across the road will ask me what I'm listening to. Which is quite embarrassing when you're 23 years old and you've just been caught dancing to K-pop at work. Moving on, my favourite song is Fancy. I enjoy the slightly different sound of Fancy. When you compare it to a lot of Twice's back catalogue, it has a more mature sound. It feels less like it would be played at an 8-year-old's birthday party and more like it would be played in like a nightclub. It also goes with their change of concept. A lot of the time I feel like Twice has quite a girly, cutesy concept, whereas the concept for Fancy was very firmly in like girl crush zone, and you know, they rocked it. Fancy's a good song. But my favourite music video from Twice is Yes or Yes. I really love the kind of creepy circus aesthetic that it's got. Again, it's nice to see them in costumes that aren't too like super sweet girly. They do have more of like a rock vibe to their outfits in that video, and it's just really interesting to watch, which I've said about all of the music videos so far. So yeah, I'm sorry if this video repeats itself a lot as well. I just like to talk about what I like. We have another JYP group next, which is Stray Kids. And Stray Kids is actually how I got into Twice, because I was watching some Stray Kids like behind the scenes stuff, and it turns out they're all massive Twice fanboys, or at least they put across the image that they are, so I ended up listening to Twice because of them. But I found Stray Kids I was scrolling through Tumblr on my phone, and this picture of Hyunjin showed up on my dashboard, and I was like, hello Prince, and researched who he was and found Stray Kids, and this was literally just after their Miro comeback, so I had loads of like fresh content to go through, and I ended up falling really hard for them as well. They're another group that I had a really hard time picking a bias for. I ended up picking Lino, who is not a rapper. However, he is my bias because he has 3 cats now, and I like cats. I have seen pictures of his cats, they are adorable, and he's also got this kind of like, I don't want to say weird vibe to him in their V-Lives or stuff like that, but it's a very unique vibe, and it kind of like gels with me. I appreciate why he can be a little bit quirky and a little bit kooky, and yeah, basically that's it. Bias wreckers. I have a few bias wreckers from Stray Kids. Again, I would put everyone else, however, I feel like I have to pick. So my bias wreckers are Hyunjin, Changbin, and Han. And oh look, that's 3 rappers for the price of 1. I really like Hyunjin because he is a prince. He is purely a bias wrecker for being very aesthetically pleasing while also being very, very talented. He is a good singer, a good dancer, a good rapper, a great visual. He's got a really good personality. He always takes photos and selfies to put on Instagram. Changbin is on my bias wrecker list because it was very much a toss-up between him and Lino for the bias spot. Changbin kind of gives off like, have you seen that meme of like, is a cinnamon roll but will kill you? It's the other way around, like, looks like he could kill you but is actually a cinnamon roll. He seems like he has, again, a very sweet, caring, soft personality, but it just clashes with the fact that he looks like a hardcore emo, which probably isn't like the right word for it, but that's how I would describe it. He's got this kind of tough guy exterior, and then underneath he is like, yeah. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Han's on this list because he looks like a squirrel and they all say he looks like a squirrel, and I just think that's kind of adorable. My favorite song is Awkward Silence. I really like it. I think it's quite funny, and it's nice to see a kind of funny song compared to like all of the serious songs that you sometimes get from male pop groups. It's not very often they'll do a funny one, and I enjoy the video and the choreo for Awkward Silence as well. I feel like Awkward Silence gives a chance for everyone to really show off their vocals, their dancing, their rapping. It's just good all round. My favorite music video though, in contrast, is the video for Miro, because again, it's got a slightly more mature style, much like Twice's Fancy, and it really, again, shows like their progression. They've only been debuted for what, like just over a year, maybe nearly 2 years, and they've had so much progression, both in their music videos and like themselves, and I think it's really shown in the Miro music video and the comeback that went with that. It was just very grown up, very good. And finally, my favorite choreo is the choreo for Get Cool, for one reason and one reason alone. There is a moment in Get Cool where everyone's in a circle and Hyunjin is in the middle, and this is just all he does. And I love it. It's like I've started doing this in a non-ironic way. If I don't know what I'm doing when I'm dancing, I'm just like... So, yeah. Get Cool, favorite choreo from Stray Kids. Next up, let's talk about Blackpink. Now, Blackpink are on this list because I do listen to a fair amount of their music. However, I don't necessarily really like Blackpink. I definitely don't stan them. And I'm not saying that they're like a bad band or their music is terrible or they're lazy. That is a whole like other video to get into. I just don't think, like, I think they're probably a bit overrated. Or overhyped at the very least. Like, their music is average, their videos are average, their choreo is alright, their visuals are okay. They're just kind of an average band that, because they have so few comebacks, and their comebacks are so few and far between, it's easy to get like overhyped for it, and then it does really well because all of the blinks will just like eat it up, basically. Even if it's just like an average song, like Kill This Love wasn't a particularly good song. However, it did really well because it was the first song Blackpink had released in like millennia. Why am I saying this on the internet? If I don't do a video next week, it's because like the blinks have got me, or YG himself has got me. Anyway, moving on. I don't have any bias records for Blackpink, but I do have a bias, and it's Jisoo. The reason for that is that I have seen a fair amount of videos, I wouldn't say like loads, but just like a fair amount of videos where she's kind of being ignored by fans in favor of the other 3 girls, and I love a pity party, so I'm like, it's alright Jisoo, I got you, I stan you, you're my bias. As for like a favorite choreo, favorite music video, favorite song, they are all the same. It is As If It's Your Last, and the reason for that is, and please don't hate me because this is just my personal opinion, it's the only one where everyone looks like they're having fun. Sometimes if you watch Blackpink perform, and I'm not just talking about a specific member here, I mean them in general, sometimes when you watch them perform, no one really looks like they want to be there. And I appreciate that sometimes they have to have a neutral expression because it fits the song they're singing. However, other groups like Twice, Red Velvet, and ITZY, even when they have a neutral expression, you can still tell they're having fun. They have an energy to their performances, and I feel like Blackpink kind of lacks that sometimes. But again, that's just my personal opinion. And moving on from that little negative side note, we come to our last group, which is ITZY. Surprise, surprise, it's another JYP group. I really like Itzy, but they are a really like new discovery for me. I found them while I was writing this video, and literally it was just because I let Twice videos roll on YouTube while I was working, and then I heard a song that I knew wasn't Twice but didn't know who'd sung it. Turns out it was Itzy, and now I'm really invested. I don't have a bias or a bias wrecker yet because I haven't really experienced enough of them to like pick a favorite. However, I do really like both of their songs that have videos. I like Icy and Dalla Dalla. I haven't had a chance to go through like their first EP yet in its entirety, but I will, and I will definitely be getting more into Itzy in the future. Hooray! We made it to the end. So yeah, that is kind of my opinions on K-pop and my biases, etc, etc at the moment. I'm very sorry that this video is very long and rambly. Thank you for bearing with me. Please let me know your K-pop biases and what groups you listen to in the description. I am always looking for new recommendations because I find new groups by just like letting videos roll on YouTube. So to have someone actually tell me like, hey, you should listen to this group, I'd be more than happy for that. And yeah, that's the end of this video. I'm not very good at ending my videos. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Maybe give this video a like if you did enjoy it, and you can join me next week for more content.